Hello there, and welcome to The Great Comeback. I am your host, Holly McClain, and I'm coming to you live on WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, the #1 singles talk network out there. I am a life coach and counselor, and I help people come back from big life shifts and upsets. So think big breakups, divorce, career changes, teen struggles. If it's a life transition that you're going through, together, you and I will master plan your comeback. So on today's episode, I'm really excited. I have a personal stylist and image consultant, Sarah Liller from the San Francisco Bay Area. She is with me, and we are talking about how to restyle your wardrobe so that it actually supports your life transition from the outside in. So this is a little different. This is actually very fascinating to me because as a coach and a counselor, when I'm working with clients, we usually start from the inside out. So we're digging in, we're looking at where you're at, what's going on, what do you want to shift? So it's definitely an inside out type of transition. But in this case, we're going to be looking from the outside in. And just to give you some perspective, which is kind of fascinating to me, when it comes to the world of coaching, usually when we're about to embark on a big transition, we start off with some sort of issue or event or crisis or realization. So for example, maybe you're on the brink of breaking up with your significant other. Usually what happens first is we sort of go into this mushy place of, oh my gosh, things are falling apart, and you start falling inward, similar to when a caterpillar goes into a cocoon and it gets really mushy and all this weird stuff's happening, and you haven't quite evolved and broken out of that into your next self or your next chapter. So usually what happens when we go through this like murky, mucky sort of beginning of our transition, we sort of fall apart. And then we get to this second stage, which is called the dreaming and scheming. And we start to actually be able to imagine, what could be next for me? What do I want? What could be coming down the pipe? Who do I want to be next? And that is the moment normally when we see people start to make big exterior shifts. So cleaning out your closet, having like a spring cleaning in your home and sifting through some old stuff, getting a haircut, redoing your wardrobe and bringing in like some new pieces that are maybe stylish in a different and new way. But what's interesting, and I'll let Sarah talk all about this, is she has seen fantastic transformations that started with that first step being making an exterior shift, revamping your wardrobe, looking at how you're presenting to the outside world and shifting and changing that. So this is going to be an awesome conversation and super, super interesting. So I'm excited to have her joining us. But first, before I get Sarah talking, I want to give her a proper introduction. Sarah Liller has been a lifelong shopper and clothes horse. After obtaining a master's degree in biochemistry, Sarah decided to pursue her true passion and went to the prestigious Parsons Design School in New York to study fashion design. After many years as a fashion designer and seamstress, Sarah decided to start Styling with Sarah because so many people asked her for shopping advice. Pairing her unique depth of knowledge with an intelligent yet fun approach to fashion, a styling experience with Sarah is rich, rewarding, and transformative. Sarah offers personal styling services, color analysis, and image development, both in person and online. Sarah, welcome to The Great Comeback.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to hear exactly what you do because I often think myself, only celebrities or people in the media or in television or movies have access to personal stylists, and that's just not the case. So do you mind starting off with first, I guess, what got you into this line of work?
Yeah. So like my bio said, I am a lifelong fashionista. I've always had this just innate interest in clothing. I probably got it from my mother. And so she and I would go shopping and we would close down the malls. And that was my cardio. I loved shopping. That was the thing I did. And I never growing up thought that that would be something that I could make into a career. So I went to school and studied something safe and then decided to go and study fashion design. And I've been a designer. I had my own line for a while. I've been a designer for a long time, but the thing I kept coming back to is the transformation I would see in people, like friends or anyone who would come and ask me for advice when they put on something that made them feel really good. Like they would just light up. There would be this inner confidence that would just come out. And I found that to be so amazing to witness. And I just decided during the pandemic that that is what I wanted to dedicate my life to, that kind of transformation and power that fashion and dressing can have and really changing someone's life and increasing their confidence.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And I think it's so interesting too that during this pandemic, which was a big transitionary period for the world, you had this idea of sort of transitioning and transferring the work that you do into serving and supporting others this way through styling. So tell me this, what does it look like? Like if somebody wants to have a transformation like this, what does it look like, or how can it look if they're doing this with you or with the support of you?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, some people are just personal shoppers. And so they'll go out and buy stuff and bring it to your house and show it to you. And maybe you like it or maybe you don't, but that's not my process. I like to be very intentional about the shopping, about the dressing, about the putting outfits together. So when you work with me, the first thing we do is we sit down and we decide, okay, how do you want to see yourself and how do you want other people to see you when we're done with this transformation? And so we do a Pinterest board and we come up with 5 words that we're going to use to describe your style. And that could be things like feminine, powerful, professional, colorful, dynamic, anything that you want. And then I help you translate that into your clothes. And then the very first step is you have to break it down before you build it up. And so we go through your closet and we get rid of all the crap that's like holding you back. The things that don't fit anymore, the things that you've had since college, the stuff that's stained, the stuff that reminds you of your ex, all that kind of stuff. We're going to get rid of that because you don't need it. And then we see what you have and we can build from there. So from there, I help you go shopping. We do lots of shopping trips together. And then I help you with fitting the garments. I help you with what colors look good on you. And then I help you figure out how to put everything together. So a lot of my clients, their number one issue is that they don't know how to put outfits together in a way that's interesting. And that's just my wheelhouse. It's like second nature to me. So I'm teaching along the way what to look for when you're shopping, how to put things together. And I'm also giving you all the tools so that you can make it easy. So you have a lookbook on your phone that you can just go to when you're, waking up in the morning and have no energy and just be like, yes, this is what I'm going to wear today. And then you don't have to think, but people don't realize that that's what's going on. And so they just tell you how great you look. So it's really a win-win.
Yes. Oh my gosh. You just loaded us with so much information. And the last thing that you mentioned about like waking up and having your lookbook so that you can put pieces together, I did not realize until you just said this right now, how much emotional energy and brain space, like cognitive space, it takes to sort through and figure out what you're going to put together in the morning and what you're going to wear.
Exactly.
And especially, I think if you're on the brink of your new next chapter or moving forward or this newer identity that you're working on or that you've adopted, you don't need the extra drama of, oh my gosh, what do I wear and what do I do, especially post-pandemic, because I think a lot of us still have things in our closet like pandemic pants. I have so many pairs of pandemic pants, like just random weird like sweatpants and tights and all these things that like I'm not going to go wear out with an outfit. And so we need like a revamp with that. But yeah, I didn't realize there's just so much drama when you're sifting through. And even I imagine when you're looking at old things that carry old energy. I know before the show started, you and I talked and I'm like, I've had this puffy vest from when I was married and I'm no longer married and I don't wear the thing, but it's a nice vest. And why is it still hanging in my closet? There's a lot of emotional mind drama there that we might not even recognize realize is existing.
Oh yeah. So when you go, they've actually, scientists have studied this. So when you go to your closet and there's a bunch of stuff that doesn't fit you or that you don't like or that, is stained or old looking, your brain almost goes into shutdown mode because there's too much choice. So it's actually really unhelpful to have all that stuff in your closet. So when I work with clients, that's why the number one thing we do is clean out the closet, because if you have items, for example, that you put on the COVID-19 and stuff, that doesn't fit you anymore, every time you go to that closet and you see that thing that doesn't fit you anymore, you're telling yourself that you're wrong. And you're telling yourself that, oh my God, I gained that weight and I've made a mistake and I'm a failure. And you just spin. And even if you're not doing it consciously, there's something subconscious going on, and that's keeping you from feeling good in your clothes. So even if you don't donate that stuff or get rid of it, at least I tell people, if you want to hold on to those, fat clothes or skinny clothes, whatever you want to call them, put them in a plastic bin and put them in your garage so they're not there every day. You need to only have clothes in your closet that you're actually going to wear on a daily basis.
Oh my gosh, I did not realize that. That I think is a huge game changer. So those of you who are listening, like the first thing you can do is start separating that stuff. Even as a tester, if you're afraid to put things in a bin and like stuff them away or even like give things away, separate that and just feel the feeling when you go into your closet and see what it feels like to actually have the things in there that you're wearing that you're happy with. Yeah, interesting. And it's funny. I grew up always thinking I needed lots and lots of clothing options. Like even as a kid, like in high school, and I don't know if that was just an insecurity thing, like I've got to have this and I don't want to wear it, twice in a row and all the things. Do we even really need that much stuff? Because it sounds like options are overwhelming.
Yeah, options are overwhelming. And it's interesting because, especially in the United States, we have way more clothes per person than people in Europe do, for example. And we have way more clothes now than we did, say, 40 years ago. I think the average person 40 years ago owned maybe 30 pieces of clothing. And now the average woman owns like 90 pieces of clothing. So we've more than doubled it in that amount of time. And it's just like you're seeing all these things and there's no way for your brain to like be able to step back and like make sense of it. It's like having a really messy desk. You can't find things and you start to get frustrated and then it just spirals out of control. So it is like that. We don't need to have as much. And so when I am working with a client, I'm like, let's just get you the good pieces. Let's look at quality. Let's look at things that are going to be able to mix and match with lots of different outfits so that, yeah, like you have this one shirt, but you can wear it 15, 20 different ways. And so people aren't going to notice that you're wearing it twice a week because it looks so different from one outfit to the next.
That makes sense. And it's also making me think too that I don't have to throw everything away and buy all of those 90 items per se back. It doesn't have to be this like crazy expensive investment of overhauling and then replenishing everything. It sounds like I can get away with less.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know. It's really just buying these small capsules every season and then building on it. It takes a long time to build a full wardrobe, and you're always going to be adding a few things here and there because we're human beings and we like to have more stuff, that's for sure. And we like freshness because, that makes you feel good. But at the same time, yeah, it's not an absolute burn it all and then buy it all back. That's not intentional. When you're intentional, you're deciding at the beginning, this is the image that I want to have. And then you go through the closet and you're like, which of these pieces is described by these words, whatever they are. And then that way you can really give yourself, it's like Marie Kondo. It's like, does this spark joy? Does this spark joy? And does this represent the person that I am at this moment right now, or who I want to be? Not who I was 20 years ago at that weight or that job or that husband or whatever. It's who are you right now in this moment, and who are you projecting, and what's the like dream man or woman that you want to stand in their shoes right now? What would they be wearing?
That's the big important piece. So that has to be done before anything, before you start weeding through. And I mean, I guess you could clean out stuff that you know you don't want, or stuff that's not working or stained or whatever. But that's it right there. And that sounds to me like the coachy piece, where you sit down with your client and you go, okay, what do we want to portray? And you also mentioned too, like, who am I and how do I want to be perceived as well? So that's huge. So it's two part.
It's two part. And I love fashion because I think that it's so powerful because it's your way of telling the world how you want to be treated. So it takes 7 seconds for someone to make a first impression of you. And in that time, it would be lovely if people got to know you, but we're all human beings and this is how we're programmed. So you can either feel like a victim to that, or you can take your power back and say, okay, given that this is how we are all programmed to be, I'm going to stand in my power and I'm going to tell people how I want to be treated. And you can do that absolutely with the way you look. So whether you want to be treated with more respect, or as someone who is, a professional, or someone who's more feminine, who's looking for, a partner, these are all ways that you can come forward with clothing and your hair and all the ways you look. And it's just like such an amazing tool that you can put in your toolbox to get ahead in life and to get what you want.
Oh my gosh, Sarah, I love this. I want to talk more when we get back. We're going to go on a commercial break, and I would love to hear about how your clients are receiving this type of service and just things and transitions that people have gone through given this experience with you. So we'll dive into that after commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We will be back in a moment with Sarah. All right, we are back with Sarah Liller, and she is a personal stylist and image consultant. And we've been talking about how changing your wardrobe and restyling from the outside in is supporting people in their endeavors as they transition and move forward. So Sarah was going to share with us some client stories, which I'd love to hear, how people are benefiting and how changes are happening and how this can be so effective in your life.
Yeah, so I actually have a client currently who she recently got divorced, and she came to me because she never knew how to put clothes together. And it's funny because a lot of my clients have a very fashionable mother or sister, and so she's like, well, I have this very fashionable sister and she tells me what to wear, but I don't know. I don't feel comfortable picking things out. I don't know how to wear it. And it's affecting my life because she wasn't going to parties or things, she wasn't taking advantage of invitations and opportunities because she had no idea what to wear, or she'd dread getting dressed in the morning. And so we worked together, and I went over to her house, and I remember there was this blazer that she put on, and she's like, I just can't figure out why it doesn't work for me. And I was like, well, the color is wrong for you. And she's like, really? And I'm like, yeah, it's really that simple. Like, that's a terrible color on you. So you should get rid of that blazer because it doesn't look good. And so I think being able to validate, these feelings that we have about our clothes that maybe is not working, and having someone come in as an expert and be like, well, this is the reason why. It's like being diagnosed from a doctor. Like you have that sense of like, oh, I'm not crazy. You lose some of the guilt for not, enjoying that piece or like taking advantage of that piece. So we worked together, and I think we've only worked together now for 2 months, but she has done a complete change. This woman had 2 pairs of shoes when we started working together. She is now one of the most fashionable people in her friend group. She has a new boyfriend, and she's constantly, messaging me being like, "Oh, I got invited to this like dance party that I'm going to go to in a couple weeks. What should I wear to this?" And she's just so excited to go out to dinner and to go to parties and to experience life. And she's told me that, it's all because now she knows what to wear. And so she just feels so confident and so excited to go out and really seize the day and take advantage of her life.
I love that. And especially now that things are opening up and we have invitations to things and events and places to go and be. And we're, some people I know are still sort of easing back into the comfortability of just being out in public. I have to imagine it's a game changer. Just kind of lights you up from the inside out.
Yeah.
So tell me this, because I think sometimes we think, well, in order for me to do this, it has to look a certain way, or the way that we work together will be a certain way. Like, how are the different ways that someone could work with you? Starting with, a small way that they can make a shift versus like diving headfirst and saying, okay, I want as much time with you as possible. What's the whole enchilada? How do we do this?
Absolutely. So I do have clients. So I have clients across the entire US. So we can work together in person in the Bay Area or digitally. So I have clients in Florida, Indiana, Louisiana, like all over the US. So the easiest way to start working with me is we could do a couple things. I do color analysis. Color analysis is where I take a photo of you and I figure out exactly what palette is going to look best on you. So to me, that is a great starter way to dip your toe into personal style, because it's such a great tool to understand what your undertone is, what colors are going to look good on you. It's just like, it's a game changer. And it also helps with what metals you are going to wear, what hair color looks good on you, what color of glasses to pick out. That is like a huge first step. So that's a possibility. And the other smaller possibility, I have clients who just want me to help them put looks together with their current wardrobe. So they'll just take photos of things that they already own. And then I have a digital system where I make a lookbook for you. And then I just will make like 25 looks and we put them together. And then you have, all these outfits that you can just pull from throughout the month to, and we can break it up by like work or dating or whatever it is. So it's also a very powerful tool.
So that's a nice way to sort of dip your toe in the water. And I don't think I realized when you mentioned lookbook before, I didn't realize exactly what that was. I just thought it was maybe photos of outfits put together, but that would make it so simple. Like you said, when you get up in the morning, here are my options.
Yeah, it's totally personalized with your clothes. So it's not just like, oh, here are some options for inspiration. It's no, these are your pants to put with your shirt, with your jacket. And we can even get as granular as this is the jewelry to put with it.
Oh my gosh, this is almost like, if you just simply cleaned out a closet or purged like a desk area, after you've done that, you feel sort of cleaner. You have this sense of relief. I can only imagine this is like times 10, because now the process itself of actually getting dressed and getting ready is already figured out for you. I can't even imagine like what that would feel like in my brain to have that much more space, but I don't have to worry about what I'm piecing together and feel guilty about that weird vest from 4 years ago and all the things.
Totally. I mean, when I clean closets out with people, it's like they've lost weight by the end. It's like they feel euphoric. I've seen it with my own eyes. It's really fun.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Okay, so we've talked about a simple way or a smaller way that someone could work with you and get some incredible benefit. What are other ways that they can work with you too?
Yeah, so most people decide to work with me in one of my containers. So I do it's called my lifestyle makeover. So I have a 3-month, 6-month, or 1-year container. And basically we go through the whole process. So it's designing your image, doing the color analysis, the closet clean out, the shopping, the lookbooks. And then you have me for this like monthly support. So it's support and it's accountability. So it's someone who's going to check in with you and be like, how are the looks going? Are you trying these out? Or, how are you feeling in the new pieces? And so we can really co-create a wardrobe. So for people especially who have not shopped in a while, or have never really had a sense of style, I highly, highly suggest that they start with at least the 3-month container, if not more, because to build a wardrobe takes time, especially because you're thinking about seasonality, you're thinking about, you know, what colors are going to be good. Like, for example, you know, if lavender is really popular one season, you don't want your whole closet to be lavender. You know, you have to kind of build it over time. And I also have a lot of busy professionals who are doing a lot of things. They're going on trips, they're going to events, and they just want to have a stylist on their team who can be looking out for that stuff and take it off their plate, essentially.
I love that. And I imagine too, if you are launching your own business or you're doing making a major career shift, this would be excellent because a lot of the time there are pictures and social media that's involved. And so you would want to be dressing a certain way to portray the image of your new business, etc.
Absolutely. And another thing that I offer is helping people with photo shoots. So dating profile pictures, or if you are launching a business and you're doing headshots or, you know, brand photos, I get very granular into, you know, who your target market is, how you want to appeal to them, and getting that in with your clothing. So it's a really good investment if you are, especially if you're an entrepreneur and you want to portray a certain image or attract a certain clientele, to talk to somebody who understands, you know, not only fashion but branding as well.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. So tell me this, if you are someone who you don't really know what your style is, you're kind of in transition, but you know you're not the old you, can you help sort of bring that out of them? Or do they really need to have a firm grip on, okay, this is who I am and this is where I'm going?
No, I am happy to help you along. I have lots of clients that, like, I'm like, oh, why don't you put a Pinterest board together? And they just keep putting it off and keep putting it off. And I'm like, is there a reason you're putting this off? And they're just like, I have no idea what my style is. And I'm like, okay. So at that point, we start with the basics. So we just start with the aesthetics of things, because there are rules about these things, you know. There are rules about proportion and color and shape and all these things. We just look at your body type. We look at color, and then I look at, like, what's your job? What's your station in life? Because you want to be dressing for your station in life. So I can interpret that for them. And then we get, you know, feedback. It's like, oh, I don't like that. Oh, I'm more into this. Oh, you know, I like that style. So it is an evolutionary process. And it also, when I do work with clients, like, I'm not going to push you right from the beginning. Like any coach, will push you outside of your comfort zone, but we do it in baby steps. So I'm not going to send you like the fuchsia pink blazer right at the start, unless that's really your style, because a lot of people wear a lot of neutrals, and then for them to take a foray into color, maybe the only thing they're comfortable with at the time is a shoe or a scarf. So I totally work within your limitations, but I am going to push you like any good coach. So it's like, you know, I design what your style is going to be with you in mind. So it's not like me pushing something onto you that, like, oh, well, this is what you have to wear to look good. You know, no, it's more about what your lifestyle is and how it fits in.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I think the idea that it can be scaled, that you can start small. What about for those who have this anxiety around cleaning out the closet and sort of reorganizing things? Like, what is your best suggestion there to baby step them?
I would say just try getting rid of one thing. And even if you don't want to throw it away or donate it, like I said, just take it, put it in a box and put it away, and set an alarm on your phone for 2 months or whatever you're comfortable with. And then that alarm will go off, and see if you even remember that it's there.
Yeah,
and make a promise to yourself that if you haven't missed it at all, that it's time to release it. I think also, if you are going to go into a closet clean out, it is so helpful to have at least a friend there. I think it's best, obviously, to have a professional, but to at least have someone with no agenda. So not a family member, not someone, you know, who's going to give you bad advice, but someone who you have a good relationship with, or that you trust, to be there to be like, girl, you don't need that. Like, just just move on. Like, you're better than that skirt. You're better than that sweater from high school. Like, you're a 37-year-old woman now. Like, you don't need that, you know? Like, it's just good to have someone to remind you, because what happens is when you're by yourself, you know, you get the anxiety of letting things go, because we all want to hold on to things as human beings. We all place way more value on the things we already own than we should. So, you know, it's good to have a partner in crime for getting rid of stuff in your closet.
So true. And I have an idea for those of you who want to get this jump started. Give yourself an opportunity to maybe clear out a couple things in your closet, get inspired, then treat yourself and reach out to Sarah and let her add another layer onto that so that you can kind of get yourself up and going. Like, this is a treat to me. When I look at this, I think this is an incredible treat that you can gift yourself, especially as you're navigating through transition. And most of our listeners are going through some sort of transition. Life is chock full of them. There are tons and tons of transitions. That's normal in life. But as you're going through, this is the perfect time to make a shift and make a change. Treat yourself. You deserve it. And then just feel all those good feels that come out of making this change and this shift for yourself. So awesome. Gosh, thank you so much, Sarah, for being here with us. And will you please share how listeners can get in touch with you for more information?
Yes, so you can go to my website. It's stylingwithsarah.com. And you can also go to, I spend most of my time on Instagram. So my handle over there is Sarah Liller Styling, at Sarah Liller Styling.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Sarah, for being on The Great Comeback. And thank you to our listeners for joining us in the conversation today. If you would like one-on-one coaching support as you're navigating your personal comeback, reach out to me by visiting hollymcclaincoaching.com. And a final thank you to Cece, my amazing producer who works for Magic on the back end to make the show possible. Join me again next time. And in the meantime, have a great rest of your week and be well.